I got this little Winfast GeForce 2 Ti from a friend several years ago. I had actually forgot I owned it, and I found it lying up in the loft. And yeah, he bought this brand new back in early 2000s, and it has been well used, as you can see from the buildup of dust. And in a recent project, I tried out this card. It was a perfect match for it, and plugged it in, and it worked. And all of a sudden, there was a bang and a flash, and one of the capacitors had blown. Um, this one in particular popped its guts. It doesn't really look like it, but yeah, it popped out. And the rest of all the green ones are all bulging on the top. So I'm going to attempt to recap this and put some new thermal grease on it. So if you want to call it a restoration, you can, but really just fixing it. Yeah, it still works, even though the capacitor blew. It still works fine. Obviously, I'm gonna clean the fan, etc. Get this thing as good as it possibly can be, and it will be getting used in some future projects, no doubt. So I have some new capacitors here already. Um, they're to replace 4 green ones, and it means you'll have one to spare. So these are 1000 microfarads and 6.3 volt. These are 1000 microfarads and 10 volt. So they will work perfectly. As a rule, when replacing capacitors, the microfarad rating should be the same, but the voltage can be the same or higher for your replacement capacitor. Well, that was much more difficult than I was expecting. Yeah, the graphic card just kept sucking all the heat out of the soldering iron. So, yeah, it was really hard to get them out. I could really do with like an electronic solder sucker, but I don't have that. I only have one of the air powered pump action jobbies, and they're crap. But I managed to get it done. These two capacitors here were right beside each other, and because my capacitors that I bought are slightly bigger, I had to leave them a little bit proud of the board. Hopefully that will focus on that. Yeah, so they're sticking up from the board a little bit, just so I can put them in an angle so they'll fit beside each other. Apart from that, it's not going to matter. That when you fit it in the computer, that's going to be facing down the way anyway. You're never going to see it. Not that it matters, as long as it works. So I'll just clean up my soldering with a little bit of alcohol here. We'll get to doing the thermal paste and cleaning that up. So the heatsink is just held on with these little plastic like push pins. They just push through the graphics card, and then there's like wings on the back of them. So whether I can get this on video or not is another thing, but I need to squeeze those two pins in with a pair of long nose pliers and try and pop them out through the card. So luckily these were on springs, so they weren't too hard to pop through the board. So there we have some at least 20-year-old thermal paste, and well, it's actually still wet, my goodness. It may have been replaced at some stage by someone, obviously not me, but I'm surprised that's still wet. It actually looks quite dry, and that's the little thermal sensor, I think, that little ribbon there. So let's get that mess cleaned up. That's not too bad for being 20 years old. The back of the fan's the worst part. Plenty of fur in there. I'll not take too long cleaning that up. The thermal paste has like discolored the black plastic around the chip. I have scrubbed that with alcohol and it's not getting any better than that, but really you don't need to cover that bit. It's just the silver bit in the middle that needs thermal paste on it, really. I'm going to use some MX4 on it, which is way overkill for this little card because it pretty much doesn't generate much heat at all. I'll give it a generous helping. There's really not even that much pressure on that heatsink. Just double check all my wee clips are in. Sorry for the bad camera work, I'm just trying to see them. So yeah, it's just the 3 little springs underneath these is the only thing that's creating downward pressure on that. So I'll give it a push and a bit of a squidge just to make sure that thermal paste is spread out. Like I said, this thing doesn't generate much power or much heat, not much power either. And that's pretty much it. I'm gonna clean up these the PC or the AGP connector, and I'll give the back a bit of a dust, and that will be about it. So that's about it. It's one refurbished, shall we say, GeForce 2 titanium, and yeah, hopefully it provides another 20 years of service. Whether I live that long or not will remain to be seen, but hopefully this card will. And yeah, it didn't need much, just needed the capacitors changed and a good clean. It didn't even really need to change that thermal paste. It was still plenty wet, and yeah, it doesn't generate an awful lot of heat, this card, because it doesn't have an awful lot of power. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. Appreciate you watching if you got this far. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a browse through my channel for similar and not so similar videos. Something for everyone here. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
You are tied for the lead.